What is humanity? What is the difference between
Oh,
humans and animals?
yeah. Well, I mean, some would argue that there is no difference. Um, but I think even those who argue that there is no difference still feel a little bit queasy at the thought of us just behaving like animals. Now, they would say, well, animals behave quite nicely. And I think if they say that, they're just not very much, they don't know animals very well because
They don't have a black lab puppy. I can tell you that.
well, they for example, I grew up on a cattle farm, and when you put a new cow into the herd, everybody thinks cows are just like peaceable animals and everything's nice and they're gentle. No, you put a strange cow into a herd, and they have a pecking order, that herd. But a strange cow challenges that pecking order, and so immediately all sorts of fights break out with the higher ranking cattle to see who's going to dominate. So domination, becoming the dominant, and power is very, very much part of the animal world. Amongst dogs, for example, with the alpha male, you have alpha cows, and so on and so forth. There's the boss. But what is humanity? Let's get back to that. So I think people intuitively think they're not just a bag of meat, like we're not just a body. But strictly speaking, if you take a materialistic worldview here, you are just a body. That's all you are, is a body, meat, bone, tissue. That's it. And so if you are just a body, it would make no sense really to make up rules that sort of inhibit your pleasure and enjoyment, on the face of it at least. So, but if we're not just bodies, I think even a materialist would say, well, we tend to have social groups. And how do you get along best in social groups? And then you start to see, well, maybe we actually need a few, at least unwritten rules to get along together. But from a Christian perspective, God says there's more to us than a body. We're created in the image and likeness of the Trinity, the triune God. That there's something more to us, and people discuss what that might be. Some would say we have a body, soul, and spirit. Others say, well, we just have a body and a soul. Uh, Either way, there's something non-physical about us humans that distinguishes us from the animals, in the sense that we live within a body, we dwell within a body, but the we or the us or the me is something different from the body. And what I would say is that the Bible often refers to the body as a garment or a house or a tent or a vessel. It seems to refer to the body as something within which we live. So who is the we? And that gets down to, what does it mean to be human? Because it suggests that I dwell within a body, and this body is mine. And I find it interesting that our culture seems to have intuitively this idea when they say it's my body. Well, who is the one who possesses that body? What is it about you that says this is your body? Is there something more to the you? And so, what it means to be human starts to point towards that we are, I would suggest, a living eternal soul that dwells in the physical world within a body. And this is where sexual morality comes in the sense that our body has things it wants to do. For example, somebody cuts you off in traffic. What do you feel like doing? Well, I don't know. One of the things you feel like doing is reacting in a very unpleasant manner towards that person, and maybe even physical violence sometimes. Like, we all have these bodily urges that need to be controlled, and that includes our sexual urges, our sexuality. Sexuality is a very good thing within marriage between a man and a woman. It bonds us together in that intimacy, but it must occur within a larger context there. Outside of that, then we're letting our sexuality control us, letting our body control us, rather than we keep our body under control. And people think that's absurd, but in so many other ways, it's totally expected. We don't react with a right hook to the jaw if somebody says something we disagree with. We're expected to control our bodily instincts. The instincts are good, they just need to be harnessed and controlled. And this is what I think happens and part of what it means to be human is that we just can't let our bodies rule over us. We must rule our bodies and discipline them. And I mean, I don't eat donuts 24 hours a day, even though I'd really like to, simply because I have to manage my body, so to speak.